Do you spend a lot of time thinking about how your life could be better? Well, Christ said, I have come that you might have life and that you might have it to the full. And we're going to consider that today. So we're going to think about the life of Jesus today. Jesus was a common man. He was the son of a woodworker, Joseph. He hung out with fishermen. He walked everywhere that he was going, and he had no place to lay his head, Scripture tells us. He told lots of stories. We call them parables. He told stories about farming, about fishing, about trees, and about family. Very common, down-to-earth things. And he also told stories about sheep and shepherds. Now, I assume none of you have ever been a sheep farmer. So just to kind of give you an idea of what that's like, sheep need pasture, but they can't find it for themselves. They need food, and they need someone to help them. When they get a wound, they need someone to bandage them. They just need lots of help. The shepherd, particularly in biblical times, would give themselves to the sheep, and they would go off for weeks at a time to tend the sheep and let the sheep be in pasture. If the sheep were to wander, they would go find them. If they were to fall, the shepherd would carry them. If they were hurt, the shepherd would pour on oil to heal them. And in Scripture, we find that Jesus says, I am the good shepherd, which means that we are the sheep, he is the shepherd. And he talks about this in John 10, which is our passage for today. I'm not going to read all the verses, but you can find that in John 10, verses 1 through 10, and even a little bit further, and just read that whole passage. But I'm just going to concentrate on a few verses as we kind of consider this theme in John 10 of learning that life in Christ is life to its fullest. Listen to this verse, verse 3 in chapter 10. It says, He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And when he has brought them out, all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. He calls them by name, and they know his voice. What do you notice about that? Well, the thing that stands out to me is it's very personal. It's personal between the shepherd and the sheep. Jesus knows us personally, and it really means the world of difference if someone knows your name, doesn't it? If you go to the bank and the teller says to you, next, that doesn't mean much. But if the teller says to you, oh, hi, Mary, you're next. Or you meet someone in town and they say, hey, Joe. That means something when people know you and they know your name and they call you by name. Jesus knows us by name. And he knows us intimately. He knows our interests. He knows our past, our sins, our struggles. He knows our needs. He knows us very intimately. And yet, he still calls us by name. He still wants us to follow him. And then it says, the sheep follow. Do you recognize the voice of the Good Shepherd in the stillness, in the quietness, in that idea of Psalm 46:10? Be still and know that I am God. Do you recognize his voice? I'm sure you do. I remember my own life when I was far from the Lord, and I would be out one night, and I would be with friends, and I would be partying, and I would come in late at night, and I would lay down, and in the middle of the night, I would just sense this loneliness, this deep, heartfelt loneliness, thinking, there has got to be more. You know, Jesus uses that voice of loneliness and that voice of pain in our lives to call us to Himself. If you're hearing the voice of loneliness or the voice of pain, Jesus is calling your name. And He's saying, I have something so much better for you. I have what is good. I have what is right. I have what is true. And that's what He wants for us. He instructs us in ways that cause us to flourish. And He instructs us in ways that hinder us from destruction and allow us to flourish. So He tells us things to do. If you do this, your life will go well and you will flourish. And then He also warns us, if you don't do these things, then it will be much better for you and it will keep you from harm. It will protect you. So even those do's and don'ts of Scripture are not meant to be harsh and rigid. They're meant to be out of love and say, this is how your life flourishes. And that's what the sheep know. Listen to this passage from Isaiah 48:17. I am the Lord your God, who teaches you what is best for you, who leads you in the way that you should go. And that is what the Lord is doing for us as our good shepherd, as He calls us by name and we follow Him. Listen in verse 10. So let's just talk about that abundant life, that life to its fullness. John 10:10 says, the thief comes only to steal and to kill and to destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to its full. That is what Christ offers us. Life abundant. Life to its fullness. But what does that mean? Well, first of all, let's consider what it doesn't mean. What it doesn't mean is, it doesn't mean you're going to hit the lottery and be rich tomorrow, or somebody's going to leave a new car in your driveway or in your parking spot. It doesn't even mean that you're necessarily going to have good health or be a homeowner. You're not going to have no problems. It doesn't even mean that you're going to wake up beautiful tomorrow. When you wake up tomorrow, the wrinkles are not going to be gone, and you're not going to have a different hairstyle, a different type of hair. It's not saying any of those things. It's something that's much deeper and much more foundational. When Jesus said, I come to give you life and give it to you abundantly, He's saying this. First of all, He's saying that it is a life of being free. Now, all of us want what we want, and we want to do what we want to do. But that's not really freedom. Think about this. An alcoholic wants to drink. A person addicted to substance wants to take a drug. They have the freedom to do that. So they drink and they become an alcoholic, or they become dependent upon a substance. Is that freedom? No, that's not freedom. That is slavery. It's bondage. And that's exactly what Christ came to free us from. So it's freedom from those things. And it's not just barely free, it's abundantly free, over the top freedom. It's freedom from our disgusting and sinful appetites. It's freedom from the pornography. It's freedom from the bitterness. It's freedom from the addictions. It's freedom from the hate. It's freedom from the secret sins that no one else knows about. It's freedom to be able to say no. That is life, and life abundantly. So it's abundance now. It's a life that's settled. It's at peace. It's a life that's fully alive and hopeful. I've got a river of life flowing out of me. It's welling up inside because it's supernatural. It's the life of the Spirit. When we give Christ our life, His Spirit comes into our life. And now it's the Spirit that's giving us that freedom. And He's giving us the freedom to choose what is good and right and true and alive. The freedom to choose what is life-giving. It's Christ in us, living through us. It's not trying harder or just gritting my teeth and getting through this or being like super disciplined. Yes, we're obedient, but we have Christ within us, giving us direction and counsel and teaching and leading us and guiding us through His Spirit. So it's abundant life now. But it's also entering into a bigger story. We have hope now, and we have hope for eternity. It's abundant life now, but the best is yet to come. It's the life that we long for and never had. In this world, if this world is all that we have, if we do not have a relationship with God, if we do not have any interest in God, if we put Him to the side, or if we say there is no God, and if this life is all that we have, then what is there to live for? What is there to hope for? What is the possibility for the future? Well, it's only happiness. It's being free of pain. It's being free of suffering. And that's all we have to live for. What happens when we decide that we're not going to have happiness? That happiness is beyond reach? Well, we numb ourselves. We busy ourselves. We gratify ourselves. We do whatever we can to numb ourselves from the fact that I can't have happiness, and happiness is all there is in this life. There's nothing else to life. And we just try to get through it. In the Christian story, in the life of Christ, who shed His blood on the altar of the cross so that we could enter into a full relationship in abundance now and forever and ever, we find hope